Hello viewers, welcome to Wednesday hump day. Yes, hump day, you get through the hump, it's all downhill Thursday, Friday and into the weekend. And it's 10:30 a.m. Wednesday, Udon Thani. It's mid-20s, it's a beautiful breeze, probably affecting the audio with this video, but it's a beautiful breeze, it's delightful. 10:30, mid-20s, lovely day in Udon Thani. So let's go for a walkabout on CoffeeChillTV. And folks, it's always free to like, share and subscribe at CoffeeChillTV. And folks, for something a little bit different, or something I haven't done for a while, I'm going to engage in a little bit of amateur sociology and psychology on this little journey, this little walkabout vlog. I'm going to talk about a topic that I saw come across my social media feed yesterday. I was watching a vlog, another Aussie expat, another YouTuber. He was in Bangkok and he was talking about miserable expat syndrome. Well folks, I already came across and dealt with that subject briefly in a video I did about 18 months ago in Udon Thani, but it was the other side of town. It was over towards Udon, and look at that, some gentlemen there having a coffee on the lawn. This is a great part of town here. I'm going to come back to location a little bit later in this video. And this guy was talking about miserable expat syndrome, and the crux of his video was about mindset. It was basically, you know, a lot of guys and gals who have miserable expat syndrome have had a setback, financial, personal, and it's kind of set them on the course to becoming misery guts, miserable, unhappy folks. And I'll talk about that in this video, but I also want to talk about, you know, my take, which includes talking about the vexpat, vexed expatriates. So an expatriate, French word transliterated into English, expatriate, out of country, expat. Vexed. You know, if you're vexed, you're sort of torn between two choices, a rock and a hard place. You know, should I stay or should I go? And you know, the vexpats are those expats that are living, say, in Thailand. They're not really happy here. Equally so, they're not happy with their country of origin, their homelands. So they're vexpats. We're going to talk a little bit more about vexpats. We're also going to talk about the expat bubble. So that's when you get stuck in a bubble where you only hang out with other expats. That could be online, in person, or most likely these days, a combination of both. We're going to talk about that as well. And as I talk about those topics, I'll talk about some of the little location markers. Obviously, we're at Nong Prajak Public Park. There is the Prajak Design Hotel. Now, the Prajak Design Hotel, I've never stayed there, but I've swum in the big, beautiful pool out the back. Modest tariff. I don't know if that service is still available. They have a fantastic, you know, restaurant there as well, and function centre at the back. I know because I hear a lot of the conference and exhibition action. So there you go, guys. The Prajak Design Hotel, you know, 4 stars, trending upwards. One of the more schmicky-do hotels in Udon Thani. So we're inside, a little island inside Nong Prajak, and just some of the other topics I'll talk about today, all interconnected. I'll talk about echo chambers, echo chambers where you sort of find yourself just the echo of your own opinions and voices. Literally an echo chamber. You go into a cave. Hello, hello, hello. Echo chamber. You hang around online and or in circles in person where everybody sees the world the way you do. And there's no devil's advocates. There's no contrarian, contentious, challenging viewpoints. Everybody just reaffirms what you believe. This is kind of a classic symptom of the expat bubble. When you get stuck in an expat bubble, it typically becomes an echo chamber. And folks, excuse the shaky camera work and excuse the mid-morning heat haze. Normal third coffee. As it would be, I often have my third coffee there. I have my coffee with my toast for breakfast. I go for a walk around the park. I have a coffee at one of the great coffee shops facing the big ducks. And often when I circle back, I have my third coffee at normal third. They do a great cafe latte in there, guys. You'll find some short videos in the back catalogue on YouTube, CoffeeChillTV or Normal Third Coffee. If you're in this area and you're near the Udon Thani Public Hospital, which is there at the back, you're here at Nong Prajak, you're near the Prajak Design Hotel, Normal Third Coffee, good honest brew in there with friendly service and air conditioning. Okay folks, the word hidden gem. If ever there was a word that was overused on social media nowadays, hidden gem, hidden gems. And you know what, if I'm being honest, guilty as charged. I'm going to wheel it out again. Right across from here you can see this little kiosk here. Lady there, she sells little snacks and she sells coffee. She sells an economical, strong and quite delicious Americano. Now you can have a 3-in-1 there as well, but I actually go for the brewed Americano. 20 baht. You grab a seat over there, guys, and you know what, I'm in heaven. And you think about it, how many places around the world do you pay a premium for food and beverages just because of the location? Here, guys, if you're coming out to Nong Prajak, this lady right across here, she does a great job, really great job. And it's one of the things I like to do. Sit down over there with a coffee and contemplate my thoughts. And so folks, miserable expat syndrome. Vexpats, the expatriates, I don't know if they're coming or they're going. They're not happy here, they're not happy back home. I come to you with what I believe is an above average level of knowledge, experience and insight into the topic. And let me explain further. I've actually lived as an expat in a couple of different reincarnations. I first came across the idea of an expat bubble way back in 1990 when I first visited London, and I stayed in an Aussie Kiwi house in Hammersmith. It's fantastic actually. I was only there as a tourist and I was in a little bit of a bubble. I sort of hung out with Aussies and Kiwis, and we went to Earl's Court, we went to the church in King's Cross. We did a lot of those sort of expat things, and good connections they were. They helped me with all kinds of tips and traps for my time in the UK. Several years I came back and I actually worked. I worked 2 winters, 2 6-month stints, live-in bartender in a nightclub bar restaurant called the Feathers in Ealing Broadway. And the term that I came across was London Aussie. London Aussies. And I didn't want to become one. I didn't travel all that way and want to spend all that time just hanging out with other Aussies. I love my compatriots, but you know, I didn't want to just get stuck in that London Aussie bubble. Okay, so I had a live-in job in a nightclub. I was the only Australian working in there. The whole 12 months, 6 plus 6 months, I think I saw 1 or 2 Australians the whole time. It wasn't a place where Aussies hung out, you know. At that time, so Earl's Court was considered Kangaroo Valley, you know, and the church nightclub on Sundays at King's Cross Station. These were very much sort of, you know, hubs for expats. Good fun, but I sort of made a vow that I didn't want to get stuck in a bubble. I didn't want to get stuck just hanging out all my time just with my fellow compatriots. I wanted to get to know some of the locals, experience some of the local culture. Fast forward, you know, from the 1990s to the 2020s, and here I am in Udon Thani in the northern Isan region of Thailand. And here in Udon Thani, I love living in this town. It's a little big town, and that's why I ultimately chose to stay here. It's got all the features of the big town, but it doesn't have all the hustle and bustle of some of the major bigger cities like, you know, Patong, Phuket and Pattaya Central, Chiang Mai, etc. And here in Udon Thani, yeah, if you're not careful, you can get stuck in an expat bubble too. So folks, where's the expat bubble? Well, it's not here. It's not here in the middle of Nong Prajak, where I almost never see phalangs, you know, those Caucasian tourists. Yours truly. I don't see so many of such ilk, my folk, if you like, my people in this part of town. Therein is a strategy. Okay, if you visit Udon Thani and you're only hanging out at Central Plaza, Soy Sampan, Nutty Park, Udi Town, okay, Preacher Market, Railway Market, these are places I love. They're fabulous places. They're wonderful spots. But if you're living in a place like Udon Thani, if you've actually decided to live here, each to their own, but I think there's a risk if you don't realise it that you get stuck in a bubble. Okay, if you wake up in the morning and go out, come home at night, and you've only spoken to expats, and predominantly besides the staff, you haven't really spoken to too many locals. Okay, that's good. It can be productive. I got my teaching job through the expat bubble, through networking here. One of my friends from Finland recommended me for a job, and I was there for a couple of years. I loved it. You know, when I was in London and I was in that Aussie Kiwi house, you know, I got some agency work through one of my co-tenants at that Aussie Kiwi house. So the expat bubble, you know, it's not automatically a derogatory term. For me, it's only becomes an issue when you get stuck in there full time. So, okay folks, I'm getting a little bit melancholy, a bit nostalgic. Scouts Day. Okay, so yes, I was a private school teacher here in Udon Thani for 2 years. I can see there's a foreign teacher there and a lovely, I like his yellow shirt, and yeah, supervising the troops. And you know, he's working. And you know, I worked in London for a couple of years. I did retail, I did industrial, primarily hospitality. You know, 2 years live-in bartender in a nightclub in West London. In Udon Thani, 2 years as a foreign teacher at a private school, and I taught English, social studies and science. One of the interesting things was that I needed to study history, culture, governance to teach social studies. Okay, so one of the ways to escape from the expat bubble is to learn language, history and culture. Okay, it's one way to help you get out of there. Now once again, I like the bubble in small doses, all right? But yeah, if you and if you get a job, particularly if you get a job where you're not surrounded by fellow expats, okay? I taught in a school where the majority of the teaching staff were Thai, and all the students were Thai. I mean, some of them are from, I say, mixed heritage, Eurasian students, but they're in the minority. And you know, I got to experience cultural festivals like Loy Krathong at the school, Scouts, and that's fantastic, guys. If you get a chance to work in Thailand, you should do it legitimately like I did. You know, it's one way to escape the expat bubble. So folks, as we head towards the footbridge, and hey, you know, regular viewers on CoffeeChillTV know that I love a good footbridge. I'm taking you guys on a walking path, which is, you know, part of my almost daily constitutional. One of the great things about living in this part of Udon Thani, besides, you know, avoiding getting stuck in an expat bubble, is Nong Prajak Park. It's one of the great tourism icons, not just of Udon Thani, but Isan in general. And you know, any time of the day, I enjoy walking in and around and through this park, including over. There's a couple of footbridges. One here, and as I pivot around, we love a good pivot on CoffeeChillTV. There we go. And whilst I'm pivoting, okay, guys, there it is. Udon Thani Public Hospital. Now, it's not just a public hospital. There's a food hawker centre. You can get a haircut. You can buy clothes and pharmaceuticals. You can get a nice coffee there in the morning as well. And there's a couple of different ways to walk in and around Nong Prajak. Often in the morning I go around that way, but today we're doing a rat run. We're going to cut through. We're going to cut through the middle and over this footbridge. Let's do that. So folks, I've got a couple little bits of general advice in terms of, you know, not getting stuck in an expat bubble. And at the start I talked about, you know, the echo chamber, that, you know, you get stuck in an echo chamber. Everyone just believes what you believe, and you don't learn, you don't grow, you don't develop. You know, everyone just reconfirms your opinion, and sometimes your opinions, you know, and positions need to be challenged. I've changed mine over the years. Also, guys, one of the key reasons why I feel you need to avoid being stuck in a perennial, proverbial expat bubble is those vexpats, those vexed expatriates. You know, they're like a cancer. They really are, some of them. You know, these are the people who, they're only happy when it rains. Their glass is half empty. Their glass is half empty with a crack down the side of it. And here's the rub, guys. A lot of these vexpats, they became vexpats because love done me wrong. They had a legal problem. Their bank account got frozen. Someone stole the farm. You know, they lost a lot of money in a financial scam, and they became expats. But you know what? I'm playing amateur psychologist, but I reckon a lot of these expats, they're kind of born that way. All right, you could put them in the Garden of Eden. All right, all the debaucherous things one would ever want, and these people wouldn't be happy. They're only happy when it rains. Okay, so that's why, you know, I feel that there's a risk if you get stuck in an expat bubble. You might get stuck with whingers and whiners and malcontents and oxygen thieves. They'll bring you down to their level if you're not careful. Do you like the shaky camera work? Folks, just to mention that on CoffeeChillTV, all of my narration is live to tape. I don't do any overdubbing. Okay, so I'm not one of those Wikipedia vloggers who walks around Nong Prajak, in this example, takes a lot of footage and then goes back to the studio and puts on their very best DJ voice and says things like, Nong Prajak was built in whatever year. I don't know what year Nong Prajak was built. Google it up. Okay guys, I'm not a Wikipedia vlogger. Alright. And that's because, you know, I'm very open about places where I do have some inside information and experience, like Udon Thani, and other places where I'm a newbie. If you go into the back catalogue of CoffeeChillTV, you'll find that I have visited all 19 provinces of Isan. In some of those videos, up front I say, hey, I'm a newbie. I'm not a subject matter expert. But let me tell you, a lot of those expats, they are expats who are amateur experts on everything. They are know-it-alls. And look at that, bit of lawnmower action. Once again guys, live to tape, original audio, original ideas on CoffeeChillTV. Okay folks, I've moved away from the lawnmower man. You can probably hear the dental hum and strum in the background though. And there's an expat over there. There you go, he's got his bicycle there, he's ridden down to the park. It's just beautiful here guys. Maybe I'm overcooking it a bit, but it really is. There's that second footbridge. And guys, there's the Udon Thani Public Hospital. Okay folks, we're coming towards the end of our little journey. We're near the clock, the flower clock. Okay, there's another little footbridge there, and then there's all casual dining, you know. Up this way is massage. The big ducks are this way, the Udon Thani sign. So we're heading that way, and I can see an older expat couple. Are they grey nomads? Are they grey packers? I talk about grey nomads and grey packers on my recent walkabout vlog in Chiang Mai. If you're watching on YouTube, there will be a thumbnail at the end of this video. If you're watching on Rumble, just kind of search, go back a page or two, you'll find it. And yeah, I talk about grey packers, flash packers, grey nomads and digital nomads in that vlog. So okay folks, a final little bit of advice in terms of expat bubbles. They don't just happen in the here and now physical sense, they happen online. Now the term echo chamber, it was kind of skyrocketed into the vernacular a few years ago by Piers Morgan. He was talking about Twitter before Elon Musk took it over. And before Elon Musk took it over, according to Piers Morgan, it was an echo chamber. People of a certain left-wing ideology only had their existing beliefs reconfirmed. There were sort of no dissenting voices. And, you know, sort of reconfirmation bias, you know, the echo chamber. So managing your online, you know, news feed, algorithms is important, and that may include managing doom scrolling. Here's a good compound verb, doom scrolling. And you know, many of you will be familiar with it. You know, you go online and you watch a video that talks about how, you know, expats are not welcome in Thailand anymore. And then the next video in the autoplay or suggested is, you know, immigration disaster. And then the next one is, she left him for her high school sweetheart. Romance gone wrong in the Philippines. Okay, frozen bank accounts. You know how it goes, guys. That's not to say that some of those stories are not legitimate, newsworthy, and worthy of exploration if they may apply to you. However, yeah, so you know, we all have our news feeds and often, you know, the algorithm just picks up on this stuff. Nothing wrong with that. You've got to get news, and you know, not all news is good news. But with doom scrolling and the risk of becoming one of those vexpats, you can go down a rabbit hole, guys. You can go down a rabbit hole and you can't get out, and you just hear bad news story after bad news story, and before you know it, you know, should I go back home? But of course, if you're a vexpat, you don't want to go home because you don't like it there either. Look, on the homepage of CoffeeChillTV, you will see the old adage, one of my favourite cliches: wherever you go, there you are. And as I think I mentioned earlier in this video, you know, if you're not happy in Australia and you think, I'll just go to Thailand, then I'll be happy, maybe you won't be. Maybe there are some deeper issues with your mindset that you need to overcome. Folks, all around cafe, do a great coffee there. I've been there many times. Lots of nice shops along here, lots of them, and I've patronised most. I like to spread my economic multiplier effect, spread the love, and go to different bars, restaurants and cafes, and you know, bringing that back to today's core subject matter, the bubble, getting out of the expat bubble, going somewhere different for your morning Joe. Something simple as that can help manage that. Okay folks, as we look across the lake to the underrated Udon Thani Museum, great spot there guys, let's sort of wrap it up for today's play. So we spoke about the expat bubble. It's got pros and cons, it's got good and bad things about it, but you probably don't want to spend all your time in there. You may end up hanging out with vexpats, and like a contagion, you'll pick up on their negativity. If you're interested in escaping the bubble, you know, get out of your comfort zone, go to new places, travel around a bit, learn a bit of language, learn a bit of culture. You know, challenge your mindset. you know, be wary of doom scrolling. You know, these are all things that I've found can help manage the expat bubble. And, you know, talking of expats, there we go, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope to see you again very soon on the Coffee Chill TV. Cheers for watching.